So, as much as the Republican Party would like this whole discussion of the Venezuelan boats and the second strike to be over, it is not. Admiral Bradley came out and said he did not receive a kill them all order from Hegseth, but questions are remaining. Previously, back in September, defense officials said that one of the justifications for the second strike on the boat was that the two survivors had radio communications equipment and they could radio for help that would come out and continue the mission of delivering drugs and potentially pose a threat to U.S. assets. But in the briefing yesterday, Admiral Bradley admitted that there was no sign of communications gear whatsoever. So this directly, conflicts with the two separate briefings where they said there was radio communications equipment that could have been. Also in the briefing, one of the justifications was even though the vessel was capsized and the two survivors were trying to potentially flip it over, that they could have then maybe floated to safety, been rescued, and somebody else could have carried the drugs to their destination. So that's why they killed the survivor. Which, even saying that, sounds like a ton of bullshit. Apparently, it took 41 minutes between the first strike and the second strike. And so, think about that. For 41 minutes, they discussed if they were going to kill those two human beings that were floating there. They could have rescued them. They could have gone in and rescued them and, sent them to their home countries like they did with the strike on October 17th, where they sent the two survivors to Colombia and Ecuador. In this instance, they did not. For 41 minutes, they deliberated whether they could kill these men and should kill these men. And then somebody made the decision where they should. And you will hear the standard assholes like Tom Cotton, who always pokes his head up as a military person, who thinks he's got all this knowledge saying, like, oh, it's righteous and this is absolutely correct and doing all the right things, and is the biggest sack of shit you've probably never heard of. And I hope you've heard of him. So, Arkansas, do your fucking thing. But uh, you have a number of politicians who are still asking questions, and there's supposed to be more hearings and more investigation. I would be shocked if Admiral Halsey, who's in charge of Southcom, is not called to talk about this, as well as other witnesses who were there to discuss the potential kill them all order. Because if Bradley's going to say that, and these other people come in and rebut that, then that's going to be really interesting. Like, is this guy Bradley throwing his ass under the bus? And ultimately, he's the guy that was responsible for the decision to make that strike. Him and whatever JAG was next to him. So I would expect more hearings. I would expect more investigation. Do not think this is over. And Bradley said he didn't hear the kill them all, so everything's okay. I would expect more out of this. Thanks again to Shri Tanadar, the representative who introduced articles of impeachment, because the buck stops with the Secretary of Defense. The buck stops with the Secretary of Defense. It looks like they might release the video to the public, where it will be pretty freaking obvious that there was no fight in these people. And some people like Cotton say, like, oh, they could have continued the fight. There's no fucking fight when you're clinging to a boat hoping not to die out in open water, right? I mean, holy shit. The justification that some of these people come up with just to win versus what's right is fucking insane. So there will be more to follow. We may see the video, but I expect more investigations, and I do expect Halsey to be um, uh, talked to and possibly a hearing. There's been discussions about Bradley doing a public hearing so that everybody can listen to him talk, which everybody should. And everybody in that chain, bring everybody forward and let's talk about what happened so that shit does not happen again, because that's not what we're about. Okay, thanks.